That was supposed to be so much cooler than it was.
I've never met anyone quite like her before.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Andieland. It's your girl Andie, and we got a new do. Now, because of this do, my makeup has kind of been the same just because it's so bright and so bold. I've been kind of toning down my makeup a little bit. So this is a look I've been doing pretty much every day now. If you would like to see how I achieved this look, make sure you're first and foremost subscribed to my channel, like this video, and keep watching. So we're going to start out by priming. I'm using my favorite gripping primer, the NYX Face Glue. Okay, I guess this is the empty one. I have like 3 of these on standby because this primer is like amazing. And if you was around for the fall haul, they were like buy one get one 50 at Ulta, so I stocked up. I'm just gonna put that all over the face and let it sit for a bit. Because of my hair, I really haven't been doing too much with my forehead, to be quite honest with you, but there's just no reason to put no makeup up there. So after I let that primer just sit for like a teeny bit, I go in with Danessa. We're going in with the blurring balm. This is shade 7. This stuff is magic. It's magic. I am using it in primer form just because I've been liking to use more of like a radiant foundation, and I have more oily combo skin, so like the middle of my face tends to get a little oilier. Ignore that. I think once I got my hair, it was rubbing up against my forehead and it caused me to break out a little bit, but it's going away now, thank the Lord, because it was real big and huge. Part of the reason why I hadn't been recording. But what y'all think of the hair? I love the cut, but because of how bright it is, I really can't do too much, you know what I'm saying? Like, now with this blurring balm, I don't need to set my primer. Normally I would. Lately I haven't been, so it is what it is. My face has been lasting, so we're wow, that was intense. Just dropped everything. Okay, this is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. I'm using the shade Macao. So we're gonna take this directly to the face on top. Just a couple of pumps, nothing too fancy. I'm just gonna blend that out with the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Just gonna pat that in on top of that blurring balm. I've really been loving this foundation again. I had put it down for a while and I was really only using like my Estee Lauder or my Huda Beauty, but I fell in love with this foundation again, so I've been using it a lot lately. And notice I'm again not really doing my forehead. I put some of the blurring balm up there just in case like the wind blows and my bangs go somewhere, but no, I'm just gonna pat this in. I do not swipe, especially since I have products underneath like the blurring balm and stuff. When you're swiping, you're gonna cause streaks in your makeup, and that's what's gonna cause you to have like an uneven base. So just really pat. Like, look at that glow. You see my skin? Like, it looks so healthy, and I didn't go too far up under the eyes, so I have room for concealer. The first concealer I'm going in with is my Fenty We're Even concealer. This is a shade 370N. It is not the skin tone shade. I've kind of stopped using skin tone shades just for now anyway. I just feel like with the beats that I've been doing, I haven't really wanted to switch up too much. And this gives me enough brightness where I want it. I've been using this brush since I got it during the 21 Days of Beauty sale. This is the It Cosmetics, the Angled Concealer Brush. Absolutely love this brush. I'm just gonna take this and pat this concealer in. Like, the angle of this brush, the density, the way the bristles feel is top notch in my opinion. So I always like to start on the edges and then work my way up underneath my eye. And I feel like that's what gives me the most flawless blend. Like, look at that. You see how, like, there was no cuts. You see how quick I blended out that eye? Beautiful. So this is more of like a natural brightness. So if I was just doing like something basic, I would kind of stop here. I am doing something kind of basic, but I'm also kind of extra, so we gotta kind of marry the two and meet in the middle. So I'm gonna take my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. This is the shade Cookie Dough. It is pretty bright, which is why I like it. So I'm just gonna put some right here under my inner corner. We just want to leave that there. I don't know why I have glue all over me. Like my lash glue, I clean my lashes and like the lash glue is just everywhere. While that sits, we're gonna do some more stuff. Where's my bronzer? Okay, I'm taking my Morphe Sudden Heat bronzer. This is the shade Sizzle. And lately, I've been applying this with a brush. So I'm just gonna take another, this is another Real Techniques brush. I have like 4 up here actually. It's the same brush. Technically, you could take this brush and do like my entire face. So like if I was traveling and I only had to take one brush, I'd take this one. But I'm just gonna stamp this onto my cheek, and I'm just gonna keep stamping until I get the desired pigment. I'm literally on my cheekbone, like I can feel my cheekbone. Because my hair is short, like I feel like I just need that extra oomph on the face to kind of snatch my face up. You gotta be real pretty to wear a short haircut. So I'm trying to make sure all the features of my face that I actually like are prominent. This will take a little to the jawline as well, just to help define that, because I ain't got no weave to cover the chins. I'm not putting this away yet, but I am going to spray my face. Really, I've been using whatever's been in front of me, so I think I'm just gonna take my Morphe spray and just spray the face. While that's drying, like I love how while that's drying, I'm going to take that Sudden Heat bronzer, and I have this Real Techniques brush. I don't even know which one this is. What is this? Base shadow brush, which is what I'm technically using it for. I'm gonna take some of the bronzer on here. I'm just gonna take this to my eyelids. So instead of using concealer to prep my eyes, I've been using my bronzer. I know my hair is all up in the way. And I just take a very thin layer and blend it all over the lid. Again, I recommend using the same bronzer that you're using on your face. So the same cream bronzer. I'm also going to use the same powder bronzer, just to make sure that my face is tied in and it's cohesive. You know what I'm saying? I don't have like 75 different shades of brown on me. But boom. So the bronzer we are using today is my Makeup by Mario Sculpt bronzer, soft sculpt bronzer. This is the shade Deep. It is a little on the red side, but I don't mind it, to be honest, especially with the tones in my hair. I feel like they play well together. I'm taking this blending brush from Morphe. Yes, I know they don't make this anymore. This is the M505, and I'm just gonna pat this on top of that bronzer that we just laid down on my eyes. So this is basically my eyeshadow for today. That's my eyeshadow done. I'm gonna add mascara and liner. I got my Clinique High Impact Hot 5 mascara. This is in black, I believe. Intense black. And I'm just gonna run this through my lashes just so it's easier for me to put on my liner and to apply my falsies in a second. Ooh. Again, I'm still letting that concealer sit. I want as much coverage as possible. I have this Idole liner. I think I got it as a birthday gift. So I'm just gonna try and attempt to do my wing on camera for y'all because somebody did ask. So usually I take it from the bottom of like my bottom waterline, and I kind of use that as a guide, and I just kind of extend that up towards the tail of my brow. First line. Second line, I usually draw a triangle, and I start from here and just connect it to my top line, my top lash line. And really all I do after that is fill it in. This is kind of why I like to use pins, because I have a little bit more control over how this looks. And then if I need to, I just kind of extend a little bit at a time. But that's pretty much it. I hope I got that on camera. If not, I might just have to do a separate video and go in depth. But I'm gonna do the other eye and I'll be right back. So my lashes are on and my liner is done. The lashes are from Juvia's Place. Aziza. It's either Aziza or Kush. That's the only two I've been using. But I'm gonna, before I blend out under my eye, I'm gonna take my damp pawpaw sponge and just go over my face, making sure to absorb any excess foundation, but also like help blend my jawline a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna take that same brush we were using earlier from It Cosmetics, and I'm just going to pat my under eye. Remember, we don't swipe, you're literally just patting, and I'm trying to keep the brightness concentrated right here. So I like the brightness to be in the center of my face, not more so like spread apart. I want it concentrated. A lot of people just kind of brighten this whole, I don't really like to brighten everything to be the exact same. Like, you see how juicy my skin looks? Now we about to set. So once your base looks like this, like flawless, lickable, scrumdiddlyumptious, that's when you can set. Now, I am gonna set a little bit differently, but first things first, let's take a Maybelline Fit Me powder in the shade 130. It is bright, okay? Just like my concealer, it's bright. Making sure you have no creases, absolutely none. So I'm just gonna take my pawpaw sponge and soak up any excess concealer that might be underneath my eye. Get my powder puff, swirl it around in that powder, and set. To be honest, I have kind of switched up how I've set, but this is how I was mainly doing it. Sometimes I use the pressed powder, sometimes I don't, just because I'm using Danessa and it's not necessarily as hot as it was. So I don't need as much powder, but I love me some powder, so just like that. Do the same thing to the other eye. Make sure you get your laugh lines, your chin. And I just kind of like to powder my entire nose, just because I don't use like cream contour on my nose really much anymore. So it kind of helps when I use my bronzer later. Powder number one, put that to the side. Powder number two, we're gonna go in with the About Face curtain call powders. These were also on sale with the fall haul. This is the shade Veil. But I do have another shade, Finale, but Veil is kind of like, this is the yellow I like that pale, almost buttery yellow. Take some of that on the puff, and we're just gonna press that in under the eye. This is me still setting, I'm not baking it. I will be, but I'm not. I know it's a lot of powder, but this is what I've been doing, so I wanted to be truthful. I wore this the whole time I was in London. Well, the days I wore makeup anyway. This is the look I wore. Lasted all day. This is what I've been wearing to work. Last all day. This is what I wore out the other day. Last all day. I'm gonna put a little bit just on my forehead, just in case. Set my skincare. Taking my sponge, I'm just gonna go on top and press that powder in. Make sure it's blended, melted. But you already see how flawless my face looks. Part 1 is done. I have this e.l.f. Liquid liner. I'm just gonna put on my moles. Y'all know I do have some. I do add a couple like this. I have a dent right here, so I just like to fill it in. And then go over a few of my other ones. And we're gonna let those dry. These don't dry as quickly as like my Epic ink liner was, but they're it's a little easier to use with all the powders I use. I felt like me using the Epic ink liner, it would dry out really quick, and then the felt tip wouldn't be as productive or wet. I don't know. But to set my whole face, I'm going in with the Fenty Pro Filter Foundation Powder. This is the shade 420. I do not know why she's getting rid of these. Like, I know why. She wants to like make a new talc free version. Cool, love that, great. But girl, the formula was magic, okay? So like when I say this is probably my favorite pressed powder of all time. Yes, it's a foundation powder, and yes, it does add a little bit of coverage, but the finish is so beautiful, like I don't mind. I'm just gonna take this all over my entire face. I did find one of these at a Superdrug in London. Is it Superdrug or is it Boots? One of them. But that was literally the only place, because you can't even get these in the States anymore. Like, it was only at like one Boots. If you're looking for a powder with like less coverage, I would try like the Mineralized Skin Finish by MAC or the new One Size Boucle Silk finishing powders. Those are gonna give you the same airbrush look, but not as much coverage. All right, see, face is coming together. We love, we love. Now for bronzer, I'm going back in with that same bronzer we used on our eyes. Again, we're tying the face together. Taking a fluffy bronzing brush, and I'm just gonna stamp this onto the cheek on both sides. So you see what I mean about it being a little reddish? So it almost like bronzer, I guess, but it's just a really, really warm bronzer. A little to the jawline. Now for my nose, I really have a thing with using reddish bronzers. Like I don't like it. I had been using my Juvia's Place. This is really the only product that I really haven't been using, just because I feel like it's getting dark. I don't know what it is. So I'm taking my Fenty Beauty by Coco Naughty. I'm taking my Coco Naughty by Fenty Beauty in a smaller color brush, and we're just gonna use this to chisel my nose. Just kind of stamping it in. I felt like the Juvia's Place one was looking a little too defined when I was looking back at my pictures. And I didn't like that. I'm literally just going down the bridge of my nose. I like my nose to be snatched. I'm sorry. I love a super snatched nose. I don't know, especially with the short hair, like putting that definition back. And I'm really just using the definition of my own nose, so maybe that's why I don't mind it too much. But blending that up into your brow and into that other bronzer so it just kind of looks like it goes together is kind of key. And always catch your bronzer out. Like, don't just leave the two tracks just going. All right, taking my sponge, I'm gonna press that in some more before I go ahead and bake. Let's go over my entire face with the sponge. Okay, now I was using two different powders. So I have the Wet n Wild Photofocus in Banana. Love, love, love this powder. But when I was in London, I picked up the pink one. So I've used them individually. I think I'm gonna combine them today. So it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna put this more in my inner corner and then use this to kind of chisel out and do like the outer edges. So I'm gonna start with the pink powder first, just so we can get that focused brightness right up under my nose. Y'all, look what I just did. This powder is just so fine. It's like, ugh. It's beautiful powder, but my God, I just made a whole mess. Wow, okay, all right. I'm gonna start that chiseling out my nose, and then I'm, like I said, I'm keeping the pink right here under the eye. Okay, wow. I really just made a whole mess on my table. I poured like half that pot. All right, taking the banana. So as you can see, the banana is definitely more yellow. I'm gonna chisel out right here. And then take a little bit underneath the jaw, I mean the cheekbone. I always want to say jawline, but it's definitely my cheekbone. There was a lot on that side. And I'm gonna dust that away right away with my powder brush. I don't have any powder, extra powder on it right now, but I feel like I put too much on this side, so I might need to get that to just dust that off. So I'm going back into my foundation powder. Or you could use your sponge or your foundation brush, but this is just the easiest way. All right, and we're gonna let the bake sit for a little bit. I'm gonna line my lips with my MAC Chestnut pencil. Oldie but goodie. I already have a pretty defined cupid's bow, so I don't really like overline or anything. I do kind of like to fill in my lips though, but that's about it. And then I usually take Libra by Juvia's Place. Love this lipstick, and I kind of stamp it all in the middle. And if you need to blend, mom, don't swipe your lips together, just blend it or use your finger to pat it in. Now, I do like the matte lip look, but I feel like with the hair, it makes me look a lot older than I am. I'm gonna take the Butter Gloss in Ginger Snap from NYX. I'm just gonna go on top of the liner bits. And then I take a clear gloss. This is my Ruby Kisses lip oil. Get this from the beauty supply store. Absolutely love this gloss. Like, probably the closest thing to like MAC's lip gloss that's out there. And put that in the center. And by now I can blend out, well, pat in my under eye. So two options. You can either use a sponge or a powder puff. I'm gonna take my powder puff first and then go with my sponge after. Starting with the inner corner, just making sure I pat that in. And pat out the rest. Now you see like right here, a little bit of my bronzer is kind of like mellowed out. I kind of want that bronzer back in, so I'm gonna add just a tiny weeny bit back. So it's my bronzer brush. Just a little bit, because I feel like, especially with the hair being down, like I said, I need that chisel. If you feel like you did go too harsh with it though, I would just leave it as is, because that powder really just kind of tones everything down. The sponge again, and just make sure I blend. Pat, 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 pat. Look at my face, y'all. Look at it. We're gonna take the powder melt spray from One Size. I need like 7 of these on deck. This is a great powder. I mean, a spray. That was supposed to be so much cooler than it was. But we're just gonna fan that dry. It's the first setting spray. But look how my face is looking. The next step is a little optional. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on how much time I have. put bottom mascara on. So I'm just gonna take that same Clinique mascara we used to prep our eyelids before and apply it to my bottom lashes. I'm not doing any liner down here, so this is what kind of gives me that little pop. And you see the difference between mascara and no mascara. Another thing that's optional, I'm gonna take the Boucle Silk finishing powder. This is the shade Light, and I'm just gonna kind of use this to reset or just finish up my under eye. It just adds like that eeny weeny bit of like brightness and blend and airbrushness, but also because it's a big powder, it kind of has like a little bit of like radiance up under the eyes too, which I love. I love this formula. I do have one in a skin tone shade as well, but oh god, this is so gorgeous. Like, look at what that just did. It just enhanced the face just that much more, just that much more. Depending on the day, also depends on the last spray I've been using. Today I think I'm gonna go in with my Charlotte Tilbury. That dry and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Okay, so this is my finished look. It's pretty much what I've been doing every day, so really didn't take much from me. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. Everything I use in my face, as always, will be in the description box below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope y'all like my new hair too, you know what I'm saying? Charles did that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye!